The answer was 2 letters, no. A simple word exchanged in a crowded high school hallway, days before prom. This is a dark, fictional narrative brought to life by advanced AI storytelling. But the terror is all too real. For 17-year-old Tyler Morrison, that rejection wasn't a disappointment. It was an insult. He didn't just get upset, he got calculating. Watch the documented step-by-step account of how a high school crush transformed into a 6-week stalking campaign, leading to a desperate attempt to kidnap the girl who simply said, "No thank you."
It started the way 1,000 high school stories start with a crush. Tyler Morrison was a junior at Riverside High School in a quiet suburban town. By most accounts, he was unremarkable. Average grades. Few close friends. Spent most of his time online gaming or browsing social media. The kind of kid who faded into the background of the hallways, unnoticed by most of his classmates. But Tyler noticed Emma Chen, beautiful, popular junior class president. She was everything Tyler felt he wasn't: confident, socially successful, surrounded by friends. And he became fixated on her. For months, Tyler observed Emma from a distance. He memorized her schedule. He knew which route she took between classes. He knew where she sat at lunch. He followed her social media obsessively, liking every post within minutes, commenting with increasing frequency. To Emma, he was just another classmate, someone she'd exchanged polite hellos with in passing, but never really knew. In April, 6 weeks before prom, Tyler made his move. He approached Emma after school, nervous but determined, and asked if she'd go to prom with him. Emma's response was kind. She told him she was flattered, but she was already planning to go with a group of friends. She smiled, said she hoped he'd have fun at prom, and walked away. It was a gentle rejection, the kind meant to preserve feelings and avoid awkwardness. For most teenagers, this would have been disappointing but survivable. A story to cringe about later. But for Tyler Morrison, it was a catalyst for something dark that had been building inside him for a long time. That night, Tyler sent Emma a direct message on Instagram. "You made a mistake. You'll regret saying no to me." Emma, thinking it was hurt feelings that would fade, didn't respond. She mentioned it to a friend, but didn't take it seriously. Rejected boys sometimes said stupid things. It would blow over. It didn't blow over. Over the next 2 weeks, the messages escalated. Tyler created multiple fake accounts to circumvent being blocked. He sent dozens of messages daily, initially hurt and pleading, then angry, then threatening. "You think you're too good for me. You're a stuck-up bitch who needs to be taught a lesson. I know where you live. You're going to be sorry." Emma showed the messages to her parents. They contacted the school. The school counselor called Tyler in for a meeting. Tyler denied sending threatening messages. He claimed his accounts had been hacked. He seemed remorseful, said he'd had a crush on Emma but understood she wasn't interested. Promised to leave her alone, the school. Satisfied with his explanation and lacking concrete proof of the fake accounts, issued a warning and closed the case. No police were contacted. No restraining order pursued. Just a notation in Tyler's file and a reminder about appropriate behavior. The messages stopped. Emma breathed a sigh of relief. Her parents relaxed. Maybe the school intervention had worked. Maybe Tyler had moved on, but Tyler hadn't moved on. He'd just changed tactics. What Emma and her family didn't know was that Tyler had spent those 2 weeks doing research. He'd learned how to use VPNs to hide his location. He'd discovered forums dedicated to doxing and harassment. He'd absorbed the language and tactics of online predators. And he'd developed a plan. Tyler created a fake social media profile using a stolen photo of an attractive male model. He used this profile to friend request Emma, along with dozens of her actual friends to make it look legitimate. Emma, thinking it was a real person from a nearby school, accepted. Through this fake profile, Tyler engaged Emma in conversation. He was charming, funny, supportive, everything he hadn't been as himself. Emma, dealing with the stress of Tyler's harassment, found this new online friend to be a welcome distraction. She confided in him about the situation with Tyler. She mentioned where she liked to hang out, what her weekend plans were. Personal details she'd never share with someone she didn't trust. Tyler was collecting information, building a psychological profile, learning her vulnerabilities, all while she believed she was talking to a friend. 3 weeks after the initial rejection, Tyler escalated to real-world stalking. He began appearing places Emma would be, the coffee shop she studied at, the park where she went running, the movie theater she mentioned attending. Each time, he'd maintain distance, watching from across the street or from his car, taking photos with his phone, documenting her movements. Emma began noticing him, the same face appearing in multiple unrelated locations. It made her uncomfortable, but she tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was coincidence. Maybe he lived in the area. She didn't want to seem paranoid. But her instincts were screaming at her. And those instincts were right. Tyler's online activity during this period, later recovered by digital forensics investigators, revealed the depth of his obsession. He'd created folders on his computer with hundreds of photos of Emma, some pulled from social media, others he'd taken himself while following her. He'd written elaborate fantasies about their relationship scenarios, where she realized she'd made a mistake rejecting him, where she begged for his attention, where she was punished for not appreciating him. Most disturbingly, he'd been researching methods of kidnapping, chemical restraints, and how to disable home security systems. His browser history read like a playbook for abduction. On May 15th, exactly 6 weeks after Emma's rejection, Tyler put his plan into action. Emma's parents were attending a work conference overnight. Emma was home alone, something Tyler knew from his fake profile conversations, where Emma had mentioned she'd have the house to herself. He waited until 11:30 p.m., then approached the house from the backyard. Avoiding street cameras, what Tyler didn't know was that Emma's father, a security consultant, had installed a comprehensive home security system with cameras that weren't visible from outside. And Emma, increasingly paranoid about Tyler's presence in her life, had told several friends she'd be home alone and asked them to check in with her throughout the evening. At 11:47 p.m., Tyler attempted to enter through the back door. The motion sensors immediately triggered, sending alerts to Emma's phone and her parents' phones. Emma, already on edge, grabbed her phone and locked herself in her bedroom, calling 911. "There's someone trying to break into my house. I can see him on my security app. It's Tyler Morrison from my school. Please send police. Please hurry." The 911 call captures the terror in her voice. Tyler, realizing the door was locked and secured, began trying windows. The security system recorded everything, his face clearly visible on camera as he tried multiple entry points. His frustration growing, his determination to get inside evident in his body language. Police arrived within 6 minutes. Tyler was in the backyard, having found an unlocked window and preparing to climb through. When flashlights and commands to freeze stopped him, he was arrested on scene. In his backpack, police found zip ties, duct tape, a knife, and a printout of Emma's house layout that he'd somehow obtained. His phone contained recent searches for how to disable security systems and how long before missing person is investigated. The evidence of intent was overwhelming. This wasn't a teenager making bad decisions. This was a planned abduction attempt. During the initial interrogation, Tyler showed no remorse. He was angry he'd been caught. He ranted about how Emma had led him on by being nice to him in the hallways, how she owed him a chance, how society had taught girls they could just reject guys without consequences. "I wasn't going to hurt her," he told detectives, a statement contradicted by everything found in his possession. "I just wanted to make her understand." Make her see that I'm a good guy, that she should have said yes. The psychological evaluation painted a disturbing picture. Tyler had a history of entitled thinking and difficulty accepting rejection going back to childhood. Teachers had noted concerning comments about female classmates. Online, he'd been active in incel communities. Forums where rejection by women was discussed in terms of injustice and revenge. He'd been radicalized slowly, absorbing toxic ideas about relationships, about what girls owed boys who showed interest, about how rejection justified retaliation. The prom rejection hadn't created these beliefs, it had activated them. As investigators dug deeper, more victims emerged. 3 other girls at the school reported that Tyler had sent them unwanted messages after they declined his advances. None had been as persistent or threatening as what Emma experienced. But the pattern was clear. Tyler couldn't handle rejection and responded with escalating harassment. School officials were forced to confront uncomfortable questions. The warning signs had been there. Multiple girls reporting uncomfortable interactions. A counselor's note about concerning behavior. Online activity that, had anyone checked, would have revealed his descent into extremist thinking. But no one had connected the dots. No one had recognized the escalation pattern. And Emma had nearly paid the price for those systemic failures. Tyler was charged as an adult with attempted kidnapping, stalking, attempted home invasion, and making terroristic threats. His defense attorneys tried to argue he was a confused teenager who'd made mistakes, that he'd never actually intended to hurt Emma, that his plans were fantasies he never would have carried through. The prosecution dismantled those arguments systematically. They presented the zip ties, the duct tape, the knife. They showed his research history. They presented expert testimony about predatory behavior patterns and how Tyler's actions matched those patterns exactly. They showed the progression from online harassment to surveillance to attempted abduction. Most damning was Tyler's own lack of empathy. Even in court, he showed more concern for how his arrest had affected his life than for the terror he'd inflicted on Emma. He complained about being portrayed as a monster when he'd just liked a girl. He seemed genuinely baffled that his behavior was criminal rather than romantic. Emma gave a victim impact statement that was both heartbreaking and powerful. Tyler Morrison destroyed my sense of safety. I can't sleep in my own room anymore. I can't go anywhere without looking over my shoulder. I can't trust friendly conversations online because he taught me they might be traps. I said no to a prom date, which is my absolute right, and he decided that no wasn't an answer he'd accept. He decided my autonomy didn't matter. My fear didn't matter. My explicit rejection didn't matter. And he acted on that belief in a way that could have ended with me dead or missing. This isn't about a crush or teenage awkwardness. This is about a predator who saw me as an object he deserved to possess. And I'll be dealing with the trauma of that for the rest of my life. The jury deliberated for less than 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. Tyler Morrison, 17 years old, was sentenced to 15 years in prison with mandatory sex offender registration upon release. The case sparked national conversation about teenage violence, particularly violence stemming from romantic rejection. Mental health experts pointed to warning signs that were missed. Education advocates called for better training on recognizing predatory behavior in adolescents. Technology experts discussed how online radicalization can turn typical teenage rejection into violent obsession. Riverside High implemented new protocols, mandatory reporting of stalking behavior, education about healthy relationships and rejection, enhanced security measures, and mental health screenings that specifically looked for concerning attitudes about entitlement and rejection. But for Emma Chen, no policy change could restore what she'd lost. The girl who'd been confident and outgoing became anxious and isolated. She transferred schools. She deleted all social media. She spent a year in therapy learning to feel safe again. The simple act of saying no to a prom invitation had nearly cost her everything. Detective Sarah Morrison, who led the investigation, reflected on the case. We see this pattern increasingly with young men who've been radicalized online into believing their owed relationships, owed attention from women. Rejection becomes not just disappointing, but a grave injustice that demands retaliation. Tyler Morrison isn't an isolated case. He's a symptom of a larger problem, boys, being taught that women are objects to be obtained rather than human beings with agency. And when those boys don't get what they feel they're owed, some of them become dangerous. Emma is now in college, studying criminal justice with a focus on stalking victims' advocacy. She's turned her trauma into purpose, working to change laws around teenage stalking and harassment. She's pushed for legislation requiring schools to take reports of stalking more seriously, to involve law enforcement earlier, to protect potential victims before violence escalates. I was lucky, she told a victims advocacy group. The security system was there. Police responded quickly. I was able to lock myself in a room. But so many girls aren't lucky. They report harassment and stalking and are told it's not serious enough to act on. Then they're hurt or killed, and everyone wonders why no one did something sooner. We need to do something sooner. Tyler Morrison is currently serving his sentence at a juvenile facility that will transfer him to adult prison when he turns 18. He's participated in mandatory therapy programs, though staff report he continues to show concerning attitudes about relationships and limited insight into the severity of his actions. Recidivism rates for this type of offender remain disturbingly high. The question that haunts this case isn't what could have been prevented, it's how many similar cases are unfolding right now. How many teenage girls are receiving escalating messages they're being told to ignore? How many teenage boys are absorbing toxic ideas about rejection and revenge? How many schools are missing warning signs or treating stalking as drama rather than danger? Emma Chen said no to a prom date. It was her right. It should have been the end of the interaction. Instead, it nearly ended her life. Because in Tyler Morrison's worldview, shaped by years of toxic online communities and a culture that teaches boys to view girls as prizes to be won, no wasn't an acceptable answer. And that belief, left unchecked and unrecognized, transformed into predatory violence. The surveillance footage of that night, Tyler circling Emma's house, trying every entry point, so determined to get inside, serves as a chilling reminder. This wasn't a romantic gesture gone wrong. This was a hunting behavior, a predator pursuing prey. And the only thing that stopped him was technology and Emma's quick thinking. She survived. Others haven't been as fortunate. And until society fundamentally changes how we teach young people about consent, rejection, and relationships, cases like this will continue to haunt communities and destroy lives.